She doesn't miss you when you're chasing her. She doesn't miss you when you're texting her every morning or liking every single post she uploads. She doesn't miss you when your world revolves around her. She starts missing you the moment she realizes you've stopped. The moment your energy is no longer orbiting her world. The moment your focus shifts from her to you. Men, this video will speak to the deepest part of you, because if you've ever wondered why she moved on so fast, and why out of nowhere she suddenly comes back, you're about to find out the 7 cold, undeniable truths about when women start missing you the most. And it's not what you've been told. This isn't about games. This isn't about tricks. This is about becoming the man you were born to be. If you're watching this, you've felt it. You gave your all to a woman. Your time, your attention, your loyalty. You bent over backwards to show her you cared. And when she left, she didn't even flinch. No goodbye that meant anything. No apology that held weight. It's like she forgot you the moment you stopped being useful. And now you're left asking, did I ever matter? Was I ever seen? The truth is, yes, you were. But she didn't see your value until you took it away. You're not alone. Every man watching this, I know what you've been through. Modern relationships are broken, and too many good men are burning themselves out, trying to be enough for someone who never deserved them. But that ends now, and if you're serious about turning that pain into power, then you must get your hands on the Stoic Relationship Blueprint ebook for men. It shows you exactly how to master detachment. It breaks down what she really thinks when you walk away. It arms you with step-by-step actions to build self-respect so deep, she feels it in your absence. It teaches you the timeless principles of Stoic strength in love, in loss, and in life. The Stoic Relationship Blueprint is now available to the public, but only for a short time. Check the link in the comments and grab the ebook. It will save you years of regrets and confusion. So if you're ready to stop being invisible and start being unforgettable, comment unforgettable. Because from this moment on, you'll never see women the same way again. Now let's break down when women start missing you the most. Number 1. When you stop needing her. There is no force more powerful than a man who no longer needs her, not for validation, not for comfort, not for attention, not even for love. The shift doesn't happen overnight. It starts with one moment of truth. That moment when you're staring at the screen, waiting for a reply she promised she'd send. That long pause where she makes you feel like your words, your time, your energy don't matter. And for the first time, something inside you snaps. You realize needing her has cost you yourself. And in that instant, the chains break. Your heart doesn't beat the same. Your habits shift. Your priorities begin to reorder themselves. Because when you stop needing her, you begin to rediscover the man you used to be before you bent yourself into someone she could accept. You stop shrinking to fit into her unstable comfort zone. You stop explaining your worth. You stop begging for attention. You wake up and the world looks different. Not because she changed, but because your eyes finally opened. And she feels it. Oh, she feels it in ways she can't explain. When you used to check in every hour, and now, nothing. When your name used to pop up every morning and night, and now there's only absence. When you used to ask her how her day was, and now she's left with her own echo. She tells herself you're just busy. She tells herself she still has time. But deep down, something inside her begins to stir. An ancient, uncomfortable emotion that only appears when she realizes she's no longer the center, no longer the sun around which you orbit, because you've become the gravity she can't control. And now, the attention she once took for granted, she craves. Now the man she used to ignore, she wonders about. She scrolls through your name, waiting for that message, but it never comes. because you don't need to send it anymore. You see, need is desperation dressed in longing. But when a man releases that need, he becomes dangerous in the best way, because now he doesn't chase, now he creates. Now he doesn't wait to be chosen, he chooses himself. You're not trying to make her see your worth. You're building it into every hour of your day. You're hitting the gym, rep after rep, not for her approval, but to keep your promises to the man in the mirror. You're stacking wins, physically, financially, mentally, because your vision of who you could be has finally outgrown who you were when you were chasing her. You no longer listen to love songs thinking of her. You hear them as a chapter you've outgrown. She wanted your softness until she saw it as weakness, but now she sees your strength, and it terrifies her. Not because it's aggressive, but because it's quiet, calm, controlled. You've stopped needing to be understood by her, and now she's the one who doesn't understand who you've become. That's the shift. That's the moment she begins to feel the loss. Not when you said goodbye, but when you stopped waiting for her to come back. Because now you're not looking back at all. Number 2, when you fall off her radar. There's a unique kind of discomfort that creeps into her chest when she realizes you're gone. Not just physically absent, but energetically unreachable. She doesn't notice it immediately. At first, it feels like freedom. She scrolls through her feed, posts a photo meant to sting, uploads a story meant for your eyes. But this time, you're not watching. The view count is missing one name, the one name that used to watch everything, the one name that used to react. That silence grows louder by the day, not because you blocked her, not because you made a scene, but because you simply stopped showing up. You stopped checking, you stopped liking, you stopped letting her know you were still around, still available, still waiting. And now you've become a ghost with weight, a presence through absence. She feels it when no one laughs at her joke like you did. She feels it when she reaches for her phone, half expecting your message to pop up, but it never does. She starts to wonder, where did he go? Not in the physical sense. She can find your name. She can still scroll through old photos, but the connection, the presence, the attention she once counted on like sunrise, gone. And it messes with her in a way that other men can't fix, because it wasn't just that you were available, you were constant, you were reliable, you were predictable, and now you're not. You've become an unanswered question in her mind, and humans, especially women, aren't built to sit in uncertainty without scratching at it. She opens your old chats, scrolling not because she misses you, but because she's trying to understand what happened, what changed. The control she once had slips through her fingers like sand, and the worst part, she can't ask. Her pride won't let her. And you've disappeared for a reason, not to punish her but to find peace. You don't need her to see you anymore. You don't post for her eyes. You don't write captions that hint. You've disconnected your energy from her approval, and that's why she feels it so deeply. Because for the first time, your attention is no longer predictable. It's no longer guaranteed. It's not even offered. You're off her radar because you've created your own. One that orbits purpose, discipline, clarity. One where she no longer gets to casually drop in and check your temperature. You've closed the door quietly, and that quiet closure hits harder than any dramatic exit ever could. This is when she starts replaying everything in her head. Was she too cold? Was she too distracted? Did she underestimate you? She starts comparing. The man who texts her now doesn't understand her the way you did. The one who's trying to impress her doesn't challenge her the way you used to. And suddenly, your absence is felt like an echo. Not because you were loud, but because what you gave was real, and real doesn't get replaced. Real sticks. And the worst part for her, she didn't realize the value of your presence until it was no longer accessible. She didn't realize that you were the calm in the noise, the one person who saw her without filters, without pretenses. And now, she's surrounded by people who want to be seen, but none who see her, not like you did. So she starts watching. She visits your page from a burner account. She mentions your name casually to mutual friends. She accidentally likes an old photo. She's trying to bait you back, but she can't say it out loud, because then she'd have to admit she lost you. Not because you were taken away, but because she let you go thinking you'd always orbit her. And now, you're gone. Off the radar, off the hook, off the script she thought she could control. And that, more than anything, makes her miss you. Because it wasn't just you who disappeared. It was the last man who made her feel safe. And safety, once lost, isn't forgotten. It's mourned, quietly, deeply, and usually too late. Number 3. When you improve without her. There's a shift that happens when a man decides that his future is worth more than his memories. When he realizes that no apology is coming, no validation is owed, and the only redemption is found in his own hands. That shift begins with pain, raw, quiet pain that no one claps for, that no one checks on. The kind of pain that makes you look in the mirror and ask, is this who I want to be? And for the first time you answer, no. That's where the journey starts. Not in some motivational high, but in the low, gritty moments where no one's watching and everything hurts. You lace up your shoes, you hit the gym, you eat differently, you delete the apps, you close your circles, not because you're bitter, but because you're building. Every rep, every meal, every decision becomes a vote for the man you're becoming. And slowly, your body changes. Your speech sharpens, your sleep deepens, your goals start whispering louder than your regrets. You no longer crave her validation, you crave results. You no longer seek her attention, you seek momentum. You no longer check her profile, you check your progress. And she notices. She may never say it out loud, but she sees it. In the way your shirt fits now, in the tone of your voice when someone mentions her name and you don't flinch, in the way your energy doesn't lean forward anymore, it stands tall. She remembers how you used to explain your dreams to her, only for her to nod and scroll. Now she hears from someone else that you're making moves, that your business is growing, that you're booked, unavailable, focused, and something twists inside her. Because she thought you'd stall without her. She thought she was your fuel, but now you've become your own engine. And no matter how many likes she gets, no matter how many men flood her DMs, none of it compares to the man you've become while she was busy seeking attention. You became quiet power, moving without her name in your mouth. You became sharp focus, chasing a vision that no longer included her. And it burns her, not because you left, but because you never looked back. And this is where the emotional weight slams into her chest, not at your goodbye, but at your growth. You're no longer accessible, you're no longer explaining, you're no longer apologizing for being ambitious, for wanting more, for choosing yourself. And she doesn't just miss who you were, she mourns who you've become. Because that man, that elevated, intentional, unstoppable version of you, that man is now out of her reach. She wanted comfort, not commitment. She wanted attention, not alignment. And now she watches from afar, confused about how you became everything she hoped for, but not for her. And you don't rub it in. You don't announce your glow-up. You just keep climbing, because now your ambition isn't revenge, it's rebirth. And the deeper into your purpose you go, the fainter her memory becomes. She's not your muse anymore, she's your past. And your future doesn't need reminders, it needs direction. And that's exactly what you found. Number 4, when you show zero emotional reaction. The most jarring moment in a woman's emotional timeline isn't when you scream or cry or beg. It's when you do nothing. When she pokes, provokes, flaunts, posts, parades, and you respond with calm indifference. Not the fake kind, not the cold act that masks obsession, but real detachment, real peace. Because when a man has truly processed the loss, when he's sat with the pain, when he's grieved the illusion of who he thought she was, there's nothing left to react to, and that emptiness, that void where emotion used to overflow, it terrifies her, because your reactions used to be her proof. If you were angry, you still cared. If you cried, you still loved. If you replied, she still mattered. But now, she doesn't get that confirmation. Now, her actions echo into silence. Now, her attempts to test your resolve fall flat. She flirts with another guy, and you don't blink. She posts an old picture, and you don't call. She tries to make you jealous, and you go to sleep early. Not because you're numb, but because you're free. And that freedom, it's the loudest message she'll ever hear. Because she knows what she had. She may have underestimated it, but she knew. She knew your consistency, your effort, your loyalty. She knew you were steady in a world full of flakes. And now that steadiness is gone, not because you gave up, but because you outgrew the chaos. You're not playing hard to get. You've just gotten hard to shake. You've matured past the games. And that's what confuses her the most, how unshakable you've become. The things that used to trigger you don't even register. The bait she used to throw doesn't catch. You've disconnected from her as a source of worth. And that disconnection, that inability to provoke a reaction, it's what makes her rethink everything. Because women expect drama, expect closure, expect some kind of emotional residue, but you've vacuumed it all out with purpose, with growth, with vision. You're not stuck in the story anymore. You're writing a new one, and she doesn't have the pen. And this isn't about ego. It's about power. The power to respond to chaos with calm, to disrespect with distance, to manipulation with mastery. You're no longer trying to win her back. You're trying to win your peace, and in doing so, you've flipped the dynamic. Now she's wondering. Now she's chasing shadows. Now she's realizing that the man she thought would always be there is gone. Not angry, not broken, just gone. That's the part that lingers. That's what keeps her up at night. Not what you said, but what you didn't say. Not what you did, but what you refused to do. You held the line, you held your dignity, and you walked away not with fireworks, but with finality. And that is the kind of closure that never fades. Because in a world where everyone reacts, the man who doesn't wins. Number 5, when you're pursued by other women. There's a shift in energy that a woman feels deep in her gut the moment she realizes she's no longer the only one who sees your value, when other women begin noticing the very qualities in you she dismissed, minimized or criticized, and she can't unsee it, can't ignore it, can't explain away the growing discomfort in her chest when she sees you laughing with someone else, when she hears about you from a friend who casually mentions that you've been seen with a new woman, or when she checks your story and sees the soft hint of someone else in the frame, not fully revealed, but enough to trigger the questions she never thought she'd be asking. Is he replacing me? Or worse, was I ever special to him? Or did I just walk away from a man who was always going to level up into someone more powerful than I could handle? And it's not just jealousy, it's fear. Fear that she miscalculated, fear that she underestimated your potential, fear that she mistook your loyalty for lack of options, fear that the safety net she believed would always be there is now someone else's home. You see, she never expected competition. She thought she had time. She thought you'd linger, orbiting her with patience, holding your breath for a sign, a message, a breadcrumb. But while she was out gathering attention from men who only wanted her body, you were becoming a man women notice without trying. It's not about the new cologne or the haircut. It's about the shift in your presence, the way you move through the world without needing to explain yourself, the way your eyes hold weight, the way you stand in a room now without shrinking or seeking, just owning. And women pick up on that. They're drawn to it. And when they lean in, when they smile longer, when they compliment your focus, when they laugh at your confidence, she feels it. The sting of loss. Because those moments of admiration used to belong to her. That attention used to be hers. And now she's on the outside looking in. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Women are wired to value what others value. When she sees that other women want you, she starts to reevaluate what she had. Not because she suddenly remembered who you are, but because she's seeing you now through the lens of scarcity. She thought you were abundant only in affection, not in options. But the truth is, you've always had options. You just chose her. And that choice, once taken for granted, now feels like gold slipped through careless fingers. She tells herself it's nothing, that she's moved on, that it's not serious. But her eyes betray her when she sees you smiling in a photo where she's not the one next to you. Her breath shortens when your name comes up and she hears how you've been thriving. And her stomach twists when she realizes that another woman is getting what she never truly appreciated: your consistency, your presence, your intensity, your loyalty. But what cuts deepest isn't the thought of you with someone new. It's the knowledge that this new woman is receiving a version of you that she'll never know again. A more focused you, a more disciplined you, a more intentional you. Because you didn't just replace her, you evolved past the phase of your life where she was relevant. And that's the wound that doesn't heal, knowing that you didn't wait, that you didn't spiral, that you didn't cling to the past. You built a new future. And now, she's watching other women celebrate a man she thought would stay broken. She's watching them admire what she once ignored. She's watching someone else unwrap the gift she threw away. And it's not revenge, it's reality. The kind of reality that keeps her up at night, wondering how many chances she wasted, how many times she mistook your patience for passivity, how she lost a man that only got better once she was gone. Number 6. When you become unavailable. There's a moment every woman fears, though most won't admit it, the moment a man who once made time for her, who once bent his life around hers, suddenly stops responding, not out of spite, not out of anger, but because his life has outgrown her presence. His schedule no longer includes her chaos, his energy no longer feeds her games, and she feels it, even if she pretends she doesn't. She feels it when she sends that text and it doesn't get answered, when she posts that story and it doesn't get viewed, when she tries to bait a reaction and gets nothing but absence. Not the kind that begs for attention, but the kind that proves attention is no longer her right, because she is no longer the center of your focus, no longer the exception in your day, no longer the name you prioritize when your world gets busy. She has been replaced, not by another woman, but by a schedule that no longer includes her. And that's the part she never prepared for, because she thought your availability was permanent. She thought your attention was unconditional. She mistook your loyalty for weakness, your consistency for predictability. And now you're booked, you're in meetings, you're in motion, you're at the gym, you're meditating, you're focused, not on her, but on you. And that shift, that withdrawal of energy, it disorients her. She reaches out and finds you unavailable. She checks and finds nothing. She tries to provoke you and finds peace. And that peace isn't passive. It's intentional. It's structured. You've moved from being a man who reacted to a man who executes. From waiting on her reply to building your own legacy. And every hour you don't give her becomes a reminder that she no longer gets the front row seat to your life. She starts asking mutual friends how you are, pretending it's casual, pretending she's indifferent, but every answer stings, because the reports don't sound like heartbreak. They sound like growth, like purpose, like freedom. And that cuts deeper than any insult, because what she expected was regression. She thought you'd fall apart, hit her up, spiral, but you disappeared into your own elevation. You found things to do, and they no longer include her. That's not indifference. That's evolution. And evolution doesn't apologize. You've built routines that don't need her. You've developed systems that move whether or not she approves. You've filled your days with purpose, and purpose doesn't leave gaps for distraction. You're unavailable, not because you're hiding, but because you're building, and that building speaks louder than any words you could have sent. And the more unavailable you become, the more she replays the past, not because she misses the relationship, but because she misses the access. Access to your attention, your thoughts, your presence. She misses the safety net of being able to reach you at any time, but now she waits. And waiting wasn't something she thought she'd ever have to do with you. And that reversal of roles, that power shift, it burns. Because now you're the one who has the schedule. Now you're the one who chooses when and if to reply. Now you're the one whose time is a privilege, not a given. And that's what makes her miss you. Not just because you're gone, but because she knows that even if she came back, you wouldn't stop what you're doing to accommodate her. You've become unavailable not to punish, but to progress. And she can feel the distance, not in miles, but in priorities. And priorities don't lie. Number 7, when life hits her without you. She didn't miss you when things were easy, when the parties were loud, when her phone was flooded with attention, when every story got a reaction, every selfie got a comment, every choice felt like it would never have consequences. No, she didn't think about you then, not when her world was full of distractions and her ego was being fed by strangers who barely knew her name but worshipped her for the pixels she carefully posted, for the illusion she curated. But life has a way of stripping away illusions, slowly at first, then all at once. And when it does, when the lights dim and the noise fades, and she finds herself sitting alone, really alone, not just physically, but spiritually, emotionally. When the friends she partied with stop calling because they've moved on. When the attention she once got feels forced and hollow. When the compliments dry up and the eyes stop turning her way. That's when the void opens. The kind of void that makes her think back, not just to you, but to who she was when she had you. The version of herself that didn't have to beg for emotional safety. The version that didn't have to wonder if she was being used. Because back then, she was seen, valued, held, and protected in ways she didn't even understand until she lost them. And it's not just the big moments, it's the small ones. The random days when everything goes wrong, when the boss yells the car won't start, the anxiety creeps in and the pressure mounts, and her world feels like it's crumbling. That's when your absence screams, because she remembers how you used to be the one who stayed calm, the one who held space, the one who understood without needing to fix, who just knew how to say the right thing at the right time, or to say nothing and still make her feel safe, who made her laugh when everything felt heavy, who made her feel seen when she didn't even know what she needed. And now that support is gone, now when the weight hits, it hits without cushion, and it hurts in ways that no Instagram like can soothe, no new guy can replace, because they all smile in the beginning, but none of them have your steadiness. None of them listen with your kind of patience. None of them make her feel known like you did. And that realization doesn't arrive in one big wave. It seeps in slowly, with every unmet need, with every conversation that falls flat, with every moment she finds herself holding back tears because she knows the man she could cry in front of is no longer hers. It's in the quietness of heartbreak that she begins to reflect, not because she's sentimental, but because pain has stripped her of distraction, because hardship forces clarity. And the truth is, She didn't expect to feel this kind of emptiness. She didn't expect to regret the space she created between you. She didn't expect the attention she chased to turn out to be so weightless. And now your absence has weight, not because you're trying to teach her a lesson, but because your presence once brought a peace that nothing else has replaced. You were her anchor, her calm, her gravity. And now she floats in a sea of maybes, surrounded by men who want her body but couldn't carry her soul, who say the right things but lack the depth, who want something from her without ever being willing to hold space for the parts of her she's afraid to show. And that's when she starts to understand the difference, starts to compare, not from ego, but from lack, because she's lacking now, lacking what she once had without knowing the value of it. And that lack gnaws at her in ways she can't express. She starts checking your name in the late hours, not because she's drunk, but because that's when the distractions fade. That's when the mask falls. That's when the reality she built on shaky ground begins to tremble, and she scrolls through old messages, old photos, old moments, looking not for a reason to reach out, but for a feeling, a connection, a piece of the grounding she once felt with you, something real in a world that now feels so transactional, so fleeting, so fake. And as she looks through those digital echoes, she's hit with the truth she tried to avoid. She left a man who loved her fully for a world that only wants her in pieces. And that's a truth no woman wants to face, that the man she pushed away became the standard by which she now measures every other man, and none of them come close. Not because you're perfect, but because you were present, intentional, consistent. And in a world full of chaos, that kind of love is rare, and she let it go, thinking it was replaceable. It wasn't. And by the time she's ready to reach out, by the time she's crafted the text she rewrites 3 times, by the time she builds up the courage to ask how you are, she hesitates. Not because she doesn't want to know, but because deep down she fears the answer. She fears that you've moved on, that your life is better without her, that you've found someone who sees what she didn't, that you're thriving in a peace she'll never get to experience again. And that fear, that knowledge, that quiet dread of being replaced not just in presence but in impact, that's what breaks her, not your absence, but what your absence has become. The proof that she lost a man who was never going to stay small, never going to stay waiting, never going to stay where he wasn't fully appreciated. And now life is hitting her in waves, and the only arms that ever held her steady are no longer open, not out of bitterness, but out of evolution. And that's the final loss, not just losing you, but knowing she'll never meet that version of you again, because that man, the one who showed up, who stayed loyal, who believed in her, that man died the day she made him feel like he wasn't enough. And the man who lives now, he remembers, but he doesn't return. He builds, he rises, he moves forward. And she's left replaying what she let go of, in a life that no longer includes your name. And that, more than any message, is what finally makes her miss you. Not the memory, but the man she can no longer reach. If you've made it this far, it's because something inside you refused to keep swallowing lies. Because deep down, you know the truth you've just heard is what no one dares to say, and every part of you felt it. So if you're tired of being the man who always gives, always waits, always loses, and you're ready to become the man who builds himself so strong that even his past regrets respect him, then the time is now. Comment the Stoic Blueprint below. If you're ready to grab the one thing that will shift everything, the Stoic Relationship Blueprint ebook for men. It's not just information, it's clarity, structure, power. It teaches you how to master emotional detachment, reclaim your masculine core, and build a life so grounded that no woman, no mistake, can ever knock you off again. This is the guide men should have been handed at 16, the truth that school, society, and modern dating never taught you. And it's linked right now in the comments. but it won't stay public forever. If this video spoke to you, like it, subscribe, and support the mission. Help more men wake up before they waste another year loving someone who couldn't love them back.